welcome to the studio this morning. Wike versus military. So, do I call it confrontation or let's call it event? Nigeria is an event, so I think better describe as an event. The aftermath refuses to go away. A lot of people are reacting differently. A lot of people are calling, even for investigation, to know if the officers that went to Wike were lawfully there, or if the officer guiding the property were lawfully there. You know, do you think this will continue? Because the CDS has made a statement, the police has made a statement, individuals like Dr. Akpoki has made a statement, Wike has made a statement, Asari Dokubo has made a statement, former army staff Buratai has made a lot of people. Where are we going to take this to? Are we still going to finish with this buhaha and allow it go away, or there'll be official position? Because all these apparatus of government, they are all under Nigerian constitution. P2B reacted too, and he criticized the way we abandon the institutional norms in doing things, rather resorting to power tussle. Where do we go from here? Let me start with you.
Good morning, Nigerians. Let me start on this note. It's good that what has happened now has happened, but we have neglected a lot of things for a long time. Okafor, you will bear me witness that a lot of people have called out to Wike that they have documents to a particular garden and all that, and they went to court when they were served notice of demolition, and Wike went there with his people and demolished the place, destroyed people's property. Countless of them, they've been called out on many occasions. Nothing has happened. So if we say the military now and Wike is the law for a particular set of people, I want to start from there. And I think we should be taking every citizen in this country very seriously. I'm serious. Yeah. When we get to, it doesn't have to be the rich alone. Exactly. It should be everybody. Yeah. Like you said the law is for everybody. So if these things are coming out at this time, Wike has a way he can approach. He could have approached that issue of the garden issue, the matter. Going there by himself shows that the institutions of the government, FCT administration are not working.
Okay, that's your your own position on that. Beyond Wike going there personally, or also you could include that, do we have to be a military officer to safeguard our plots? Do we have to be a police officer to safeguard our plots? Normal operations of FC, in this case FCTA, of owning a property or losing a property, which are all to be taken recourse to the court if there is any dispute. Why was that abandoned? By almost, we can't clearly establish that the military officer abandoned that, because as a military officer, you know, we're talking about lawfully being there. As a military officer, that is part of his property. If the boy was lawfully posted to work with the S Naval Chief, and the Naval Chief say, oh, this is my property, this is where you are going to stay, maybe I'm coming there today, I'll be going there tomorrow, the boy could be lawfully be guarding the property. So why will a minister now have to take physical recourse to breach into somebody's property, or say, oh, we have revoked this or that, and the person that owns the land that you have revoked is probably not aware?
Thank you very much. You know, your question now is now spanned to like 3-4 questions. Yes. In the beginning, you asked why we have to use military
respond to those questions,
police officers to guide our property. Yeah. You know, it's a good thing you ask the question. In normal circumstances, where the law prevails, where the rule of law is a person that is of known, person that is known. Although we don't have the details, but we are sure with the shouting and all that, we can backtrack. But how many people who do not have that mind,
exactly, that
have lost their property? So when you ask me, do we need to? Why don't we have to go with the normal procedure? Because we are not in the normal times. If that ex-naval officer, chief, do not have that kind of power he has, what would have happened that Wike would have moved into the land and occupied and will claim to be in possession, he will be the one to go to court and get court order to say that that is the order that is subsisting. So because we're not in normal times, so we have to act, the people have to act abnormally. Now coming to the issue of the naval officer, whether he's in lawful duty or not,
yes.
You answer the question yourself.
Yes.
If he's posted to the naval chief,
yes.
which is his legal right, that he's entitled to have officers that to be with him, and when the officers are with him, whatever he wants to use them to do, he uses them to
exactly.
do. If one of the things he has asked that officer to do is to go and remain in his property that is trouble because we're in a trouble situation, then the young officer is in lawful duty.
What Philip said, expanded, is exactly what I've been trying to carry out into the public space since. A lot of people have been saying, why is the officer there? They should understand that an officer could be attached to naval chief.
Is it right?
And guiding his properties or whatever is part of the assignment that could be lawfully given to that officer.
Yes.
So in this case, Nigerians should understand that it's different from going to carry a soldier to guide the land for you when you're having land dispute. So we need to educate Nigerians that the issues of land dispute is not what soldiers should be doing.
No.
It's not their work.
No.
You need not guide your land with soldiers in order to develop it. When any soldier goes there guiding any land in order to develop it, he's in unlawful duty, no matter who ordered illegal duty.
And also try to separate this incident from that incident you are making reference to. In this case, this is not where one Nigerian civilian has taken an officer to go and guide his property.
Exactly.
It's unlawful duty assigned to the ex-naval chief from the as required by law.
Now, let me bear on that.
Yes.
Now, what we do is lawlessness. A lot of things that we do. Off the cameras, we're talking about how police have gone into civil issues that would have gone to court. Philip rightly said it. A lot of the IG monitoring team are dealing with issues that are
land
matter that don't concern them, that are supposed to, because the IG also came out and said that police are not supposed to settle issues that have to do with land. Except it becomes violent, there are issues in peace, and there are criminal element. But when the land is in dispute, the people go to court, not for
when you have a brother who's a CSP, you can't call police officers to come there.
Even the police should be well informed. Their police stations and their duties are not for settling land.
So there's something that I want to pick out so that the public understand that the police, because maybe you are ordered, once that order cannot be traced to the entire chain of command, you could be on illegal duty. And if there is anything wrong, that because somebody ordered me does not preclude you from being tried. There is a case that was passed very, very long time ago between the Nigerian Air Force and the one James in 2002. That the Supreme Court held that, referring to a case of like manner that was also judged in 1972 between Pius Mogu and the state. So look at the position. This is for a soldier. So, a soldier is responsible to military and civil law, and it is monstrous to suppose that a soldier could be protected when the order is grossly and manifestly illegal. So once the order is grossly and manifestly illegal, you cannot be protected simply by saying somebody ordered me.
Yes.
Because once that order cannot be thrown in the entire chain and command, maybe because your brother is the commissioner of police, ask you to go and slaughter people, you'll be tried.
You'll be sent to
jail.
Yeah.
So Nigerians should understand that just because somebody has ordered you doesn't mean you should be in your lawful duty. And guarding of people's land, maybe you have a brother that's a soldier, you go and call him to guard land, is illegal.
Or even let's talk about the minister carrying excessive police to go and carry out his own wish, not the wish of the court.
You had the IG.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's what the IG said.
Yes.
Now, if the court makes a pronouncement or a judgment of a particular case, the law enforcement, which is from the executive, goes to enforce it. But what we have been seeing from Wike, that's the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, is to use force to do everything.
Now, let me tell you, you know, if you get into the detail, which is likely the case, that this land is now revoked by Wike and reallocated, it does not end there. Because when you revoke a land and reallocate, and the original owner for any reason goes to court, you can't even develop. The new people can't. I have a lot of them in Sector B here.
Yes.
Right here in Sector B.
Yes.
That was revoked, reallocated, and the people are in court. If you go to Aegis record, you see caveat. So the minister should know that you do not have the final authority on anything. You are just an executive. When somebody disagrees with you, there's going to be a third arm of government called the court. You can't go and take a possession. So carrying a lot of police and expecting those police to act in the line of land recovery, the IG has come out to tell us that it is not in the line of police to do so. What will the police officers do in those situations?
You see, that is why I said we're in a abnormal situation. You know, we're in a situation where everything is politicized. Those police being, you know, assigned to the Minister of FCT and the FCT generally, they see themselves to be privileged police officers whose pan are being greased by the minister. So they do not have recourse to the police order and shame. Rather, they are directly under the minister and they do the bidding of the ministers. So therefore, if the IG had come out to spell out their duty wherever they are, so when those duties are not followed and they breach the law, like the IG rightly put it, they should be disciplined. Yes. Because he said when they fall short of the chains of discipline of duty, they will be disciplined. So we expected the IG to do such, carry out those disciplines so that Nigeria can see it's not playing to the gallery in the front of camera alone. Let's see actions.
Okay, let me continue, because we also have some dissenting voices calling for sacking the boy, that the boy should be court-martialed. I ask, if the boy is on lawful duty, why will you court-martial him? If there is a command in the entire chain that understand that the boy was legally posted there to work with ex-naval chief
by his principal.
And that job, even the Navy chief, the current Navy chief have visited the place. So under what basis will you court-martial?
Okay, but let me ask you, who is calling for the court-martial? One strong voice. Who has stayed down now? That's Joe Akpoki. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Is he an APC member or not?
He's a chieftain.
He's a chieftain of the APC and probably maybe an ally of Wike. That's the truth. Listen, let me tell you why the Nigerian populace are not supporting the Nigerian military. Let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
The Nigerian public are not against Wike because he's doing what is wrong. They are against what Wike has stood for in FCT. His method, his way. Now, look, let me tell you, the anger stems from so many places. From PDP, from APC, from administration of Abuja in itself. Karen, look, do you know what Wike did? Wike came and said all park allocation are revoked. Now he can go to any park now and do whatever he likes to do. They are turning most of this park into residential building. That's not the formation of Abuja, and it's going to deface our ecosystem. And we're talking about green areas.
Let's come this damage that Wike is causing, because this place in particular now. Let us leave the issue of allocating to his crony or whatever. That he will be investigated, and let me tell him, even long after he is gone, other ministers will check the procedures with which these allocations were used, and he could lose the land. You know that you have to understand that government is a continuum. But let's leave the reallocation or whatever. The master plan of Abuja depicted certain places as green area. Reconverting these places to buildings or whatever, and you are just using your almighty formula and enforcing them in such a way that do not even take recourse to the original owners. How how and where is this getting to the city of Abuja? The entire ecosystem, like you mentioned, the legality that we're going to face, because all these things will be challenged in the court. And as far as these cases are in court, development control will not approve your plan. That I can authoritatively tell you, because I do know the process.
You know, in addition to what he said about, you know, when you ask the question whether the boy, why are they calling for the boy's head? You know, he asked the right question. Who was the person calling for the boy's head? Asari Dokubo, who had lost out to Tompolo in the scheme of things in their game. And then Joe Ibokwe, who only managed to become SA in Lagos State government of all his days in the APC and closeness to to Tinubu. So he felt that Wike can get some largesse from Wike. But if you look at the military sector, former Chief of Army Staff Buratai has applauded the boy. The CDS has applauded the boy, and even made a very clear statement that the Wike Art boss is unbecoming. And even the Minister of Defense has also applauded the boy. So who is going to court martial the boy? That is for that. When we're coming to the issue of the FCC plan and the rest of them, you see. Wike, sorry to say, Wike is a lawyer, but he is acting as if it's ignorance of the law. I think the problem is where it's coming from. Don't forget, Wike is a village boy. I'm sorry to use that word.
That's why
he's a Port Harcourt, but he never traveled out of Port Harcourt all his life until he gets into government. So he do not understand what they call master plans. In Port Harcourt, they can build 20 houses in one spot and join up and down and kill people.
No, but that's the truth.
So I think that's what he's playing. I really thought Abuja is Port Harcourt. That's why he destroyed. Port Harcourt used to be very beautiful city. They call it the Garden City. When the white men were administrating, where is the garden? They have bastardized the master plan of Port Harcourt. He has taken that, brought that into Abuja. But that can't happen here. Like you said, before Erufai became a minister, Abuja was like every other city in Nigeria. But you look at the master plan, because he's a civilized person and he's in line of town planning and development. I think he's a quantity surveyor. One of engineers. So they know that the engineers and the quantity surveyor and the town, they know that you don't just build anyhow. You have to create room for national waterways. You have to create room for gardening so that there will be space and all of that. So he implemented, the master plan to the latter. But Wike has come to destroy the master plan. But it's just a matter of time. The highest he can get is 8 years. When another minister comes who understands life, who is civilized, who is coming from a civilized point, we go back to the master plan. Of course, we know what happened in Boucher and all the rest of them. Those massive buildings that were demolished, they were all brought down, and that will happen. So it's an advice to the people who are taking
leave recovered land alone,
who are taking property for weekend today now, that tomorrow might be very dangerous. I will have a man from our state, a person what's his name, from Asaba. He has a property in Zone 5, which he collected.
Yes.
What happened? That's what led to his death. When eventually, after he had developed it and went to GTB and all of that, he woke up one morning and got a court judgment asking him to move out of that. He's not the property of the owner of the property. After he's been in court. Yes. And that was the end of his life. So those who are taking life for wickedness to be mindful of the kind of land they accept for wickedness.
That wicked will not always be dear. This is a very good one. Reallocated land. This is calling on Nigerians. When you hear that Wike reallocated somebody's land to you, don't take it. Leave it. If there's a fresh allocation, you can take that. But if that land had belonged to someone else, this is a caveat. Don't pay for it. Don't go for it. Because the person that also owned it before is a Nigerian. You could reallocate or revoke land for public interest, overriding public interest. Everybody in Nigeria understands that. And you could be compensated if development had happened in the place, because what people also don't know is that government don't just compensate for the land, because it was actually originally allocated to you, but they compensate you for improvement on the land, or plant or vegetables or whatever you are doing right.
Before you move it, I just remember the name of the man that lost his life. It's Okuno. It's a no name in Delta and in Nigeria. That's how Okuno died. The property is in Zone 5 here. In fact, GDP was one time his tenant and many other.
That's how the owner of Bolingo Hotel, he was marked for demolition. And he went to, from what we heard, he went to see Obasanjo in Ota Farms. When he was coming back, that plane crash that happened, that's how he died. Now, that one by the side.
Okay, now
one of the things I saw with this Wike's matter, which which I want to link to our political platform or political scenario that we have today.
Yeah.
I was still a student then in Ahmadu Bello University when Abacha died. Abacha wanted to transform from a military president to a civilian president. And it was against the constitution, against the wish of the people.
Because all other parties were adopted.
All of them were adopted him. All of a sudden, then God threw in his spanner, whichever way. Abacha is my man, because I saw development during this time.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, that's why it doesn't have to be democracy for you to see development.
Yeah.
I mean, the Guarimpa we have today is Abacha.
Yeah.
The national hospital that we have today is Abacha.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of the teaching hospitals. You may say anything you want to say. A lot of the teaching hospitals got the equipment that they have because Abacha had PTF that was doling on the street. But on that aside, Abacha suddenly died. The whole Nigeria went agog happy. That's how terror will not strive in our land. Reason, if you're a politician, your office is to do what is good, not to oppress the people. For the first time, the people stood up and said it was good for Wike.
All right. I think, Philip, let me come to you on this. You know, we just said that now this man is able to probably retain his land because he's an ex-Navy chief. What if he's a common man?
Yes.
What will he do? Now, beyond issuing statements and can this matter be officially investigated so that the culpability of anyone will be spared out to Nigerians? Let us know if Wike was lawfully there trying to access a property that belonged to another person, or the boy was lawfully posted there. Can there be an investigation in this matter? It's not a national issue. We can't throw it away and tomorrow react based on impulse. Wike is too much. Wike on too much. Let the boy slap himself. No. Can there be a resolution, kind of, or investigation that will bring out a wide recommendation that Wike go in there? Because police, the IG of police have just said that it's not the duty of officers to go and recover land. Let us know if Wike was lawfully there, or the boy was lawfully there, or if both of them were lawfully there, that it is only Wike's altercation that was unlawful, using wrong words for the boy, or it was the boy's reaction, so that Nigerians can learn from this. It's not everybody that has power or military to protect his land, so that Nigerians can have something to take recourse to. Can there be a committee, in Nigerian normal way, but giving them timeline to say, oh, let this be done in the space of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Let Nigerians know who is right in this case. And if both of them were right or if both of them were wrong, let us also know.
Very well. When you started, you said supposing this man was not naval officer, what would have happened? If you recall, when you asked me the first question, I said we're in an abnormal situation, so he require abnormal behavior. The answer to your question is simple. If the man was not a man of might, you remember when the issue came up, you said it's a power game.
Yeah.
And power, meet power. The superior power takes the day.
Yeah.
If the man was not a man of power, a man of might, that would have been the end of it.
Or a man that has authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ownership of that land.
Yeah.
Whether in fact, it wouldn't have been on the air, be on air. We would have crushed it.
So now, can there be official investigation?
Yes, no, I'm telling you. So I started from your first part of your question.
Yeah.
Now, to investigate whether Wike was lawfully there or not, and also to investigate whether Lieutenant Yerima was there lawfully or not. The answer is simple. Both of them, from what we have said, the fact before us, they are both there lawfully. Because Wike, as the chief executive officer of the FCT, he can take the duty of any officer of the FCTs and perform it. He is going to the property where that there was dispute, is lawfully there. That's on that aspect. We have also said on this platform that the ex-naval officer, by his right as ex-chief of the naval, that he came to be a chief naval officer of the Nigerian Navy, is entitled to officer from time to time to protect him, to guide him
and his property.
And his property. If the officer posted to him, he chooses to send him to one of his property to stay there, then the boy is there, legally. Now, coming to the issue of what happened there, what went wrong, if you don't meet You don't need a Susoya to tell you that Wike Akpoki, the chief of defense staff has said it, the police IGP has mildly said it, that the action of Wike, the outburst of Wike was unbecoming. And you cannot fault the young officer because he was calm, and in fact he was praised by the chief of defense staff that he shows that he's a good product of the NDA. That they train them emotional intelligence, discipline, and the rest of them. And that was what the guy exhibited. He was calm in face of opposition.
Okay, but let me help in because there's a question he asked him that should there be a committee to produce a white paper on what really happened?
Yeah.
There's not going to be a committee. I can assure you that from precedent that we have seen. That is why I don't like what you call a political solution.
Yeah.
What we do in Nigeria is political solution. And political solution should change the Nigerian public. That's my personal decision. Most of the time, we always have to seek a political solution.
Let me come in. The political solution was even what Wike was advocating.
Yes.
That the Wike said somebody of his level
should have come to see me.
He has problem. Can't he come to my office? I say no.
So they said to them,
so you say to at the top. What of others who can't access you?
They can't.
What of other common Nigerians? A simple servant. Let me not use the word poor civil servant. You know, a civil servant who managed to get the allocation and saved his money to develop the land and may not be able to access you. So why will it be that the only solution should come by the CDS calling you on phone and all that? I don't also like those political solutions in some cases, you know. So why this white paper do you think is important? Because let me tell you, Philip just said it. You reported Philip to have said it. Go to police offices, you see people land disputes.
Even as I'm speaking now,
land disputes.
No, even as I'm speaking now,
should there be a white paper on this?
Well, there should be, but I can tell you there is not going to be. Most of the people that flout the law, that I said it in my beginning speech. I said Wike himself, he has flouted a lot of court orders.
So let me ask you, if Wike had spoken in a civilized manner, do you think we would have made an event out of this?
No. Number one, it was wrong for Wike have to have been there in his capacity and capability. They are the right way to do it. I agree with Philip correctly that he can.
But there are exceptional cases
exactly
where you could visit
exactly
the area or whatever,
and act civil because he has been a stock in trade to muzzle people, bamboozle people, bully people. For this first time, he was bullied.
All right, we'll continue this discussion when we come back. For the first time, Wike was bullied. You know, if he had acted in a civil manner, nobody was going to say, why would a minister visit any location that is under his domain? Any plot of land in FCTs under Wike's domain. As a matter of fact, he could visit those places. And the naval officer there could have been posted there to secure the property of the ex-naval chief. You know, both of them could be legally there. And if they had acted and spoken legally, maybe there wouldn't have been an event. Until next time, thank you for joining our Matters Arising this morning.